Welcome students to the video lectures of speech and natural language processing. So today we are going to discuss about word classes and parts of speech tagging. So word classes, also known as parts of speech tagging, are categories of word based on their function within the sentence. So each word in a language can be classified into one of the several groups depending on its syntactic role, grammatical structure, and meaning. So common word classes include this. So we all know these are the common word classes, that is noun, verb, adjectives. So hope you all know the definitions of this. Suppose if I say noun, which represents the people, places, things, or abstract ideas. Okay. For example, let me write. So nouns, so like a book, a city, and some John, all this. Verbs, which describe the actions or states, which we know. So run, think, eat, like that. Coming to adjectives, which modify nouns by describing their qualities or quantities, is your adjective, like small or beautiful, or sometimes you can write fast, etc. So adverbs, which modify verbs or adjectives, are adverbs. For example, are quickly, yesterday, something like this. And then we have pronouns. So pronouns will replace nouns or noun phrases just to avoid the repetition. So like he, they, it, all will fall under this pronouns. And then we have prepositions. So prepositions are, which shows the relationship between your noun or pronoun, like in, or, before, after, like that. For example, let me write here. Preposition. Like, the book is on the table. So here on, okay, you can observe the preposition, right? It shows the relationships. Then is the conjunctions, which link words or phrases, like and, but, because, in such a way. So interjections are the words which are the phrases that express strong emotions or some sudden reactions to say, like wow, that's amazing, or something like that. So for example, let me write down, wow, that's amazing, can be an interjection. Right, students? So these are all the common word classes which are there. So then we see this POS tagging is the process of assigning a part of speech to each word in a sentence, typically using algorithms or machine learning models. So then we see types of taggings which are available. So first one is rule-based tagging, we see. So what is rule-based tagging? So this method relies on handcrafted rules to assign tags. Rules are written to identify specific patterns, but this method is limited by the complexity of language and labor-intensive creation of rules. Suppose if I say rule-based POS tagging, just you have to remember that. So the rule-based POS tagging is basically, it's often handwritten, we say. That means it follows some linguistic rules which are used to assign the tags based on the word morphology and the context where it has been used also. Okay, for suppose if a word, let me write, if a word is, suppose it's ending with ing. Okay, if a word is ending with ing and is preceded by, suppose, let's say, an auxiliary verb, so then it is likely to be a present participle verb. Present participle verb. Understood? And then we have statistical tagging. The example is hidden Markov model. So in statistical tagging, what we do in statistical tagging, the goal is to find the most likely sequence of tags for a sentence using probabilities, which are derived from a tagged corpus. So hidden Markov model, we call HMM, are mostly commonly used, where each word is treated as an observation generated by a hidden tag. Here, this is statistical POS tagging. So example would be a HMM. where the model will sequence, it models the sequence of POS tags as hidden states and uses the maximum likelihood to estimate or to predict the most likely sequence of the tags in a sentence. So then we have a transformation based tagging. So transformation based tagging example is Brill's tagger. So this method combines rule based and machine learning approaches. One is rule based, other is ML approaches. It begins with an initial tagging, then applies transformation rules iteratively to improve accuracy. So each rule adjusts tags based on the patterns observed in the data. Clear story. So that is about Brill's tagging. So it what it does, it basically assigns the most common tag for each word just based on their frequency. Okay, so it just what it does is it assigns most common tag for sorry most common tag for each word based on frequency. Clear, students. So when initial tagging might sometimes misinterpret suppose a word like flies, Flies as a noun, since flies is often tagged as a plural noun sometimes. This is and sometimes it is tagged as plural noun. Right? Then we have neural network approaches. Okay, so what are these neural network approaches is? Recently, neural networks, especially recurrent neural networks, RNNs, and transformers have shown high accuracy in POS tagging. These models learn patterns in the training data without needing explicit rules or statistical assumptions. So that is here neural network approaches. So then the challenges in POS tagging. So what are the various challenges that we face in POS based tagging? First one is ambiguity. Second is out of vocabulary words. Third is language complexity. And next is a domain specific language. So when I say ambiguity, like if suppose let me tell you, for example, a word called can. Okay, so it can be a verb. Okay, so it can be a verb, and it can be a noun also sometimes. So this is how ambiguity exists while we do POS tagging. So then you might have a question, sir, how this is possible? So let me write a sentence like I can swim. This is one sentence. So in this you can see can be your verb, and the next suppose so next sentence let me write to make you understand how can be a noun, like a can of soda. So in this, yeah, can be a noun, right? Then we have out of vocabulary words. That is generally the parts of speech taggers may really struggle to correct these tag words, which are that are not present in the training data. So especially when rare or newly coined words appear, it becomes a problem. Then it is about language complexity. So there are few languages which have highly flexible word orders or rich morphology, which we used to discuss in our earlier unit one, like the languages of Finnish or Turkish, which are high in morphology or rich in morphology. So these type of languages will make the POS styling more challenging. Then it is about domain specific language, where generally the POS taggers would be trained on the general corpora, which may perform poorly when applied to specialized domains such as medical or legal texts, where the vocabulary and syntax differ from everyday language. Right. Suppose if you have trained your database with something, and suddenly with general English text, let us assume, and suppose if some word like angioplasty have come, right, the database cannot recognize it. So that is what these are the challenges which we have in POS tagging. Next is rule based tagging. So rule based approaches in natural language processing rely on manually created linguistic rules. Okay, just underline this: manually created linguistic rules to perform tasks such as tokenization, parts of speech tagging, parsing, and other language related processes. These approaches involve using predefined grammatical rules, dictionaries, and pattern matching. This is important to analyze and process the language data. So, this is how rule based tagging will work. So, what are the characteristics of this rule based? First is manually crafted rules. When I say manually crafted rules, these are, the linguists or the experts of the subject of that particular language will write some specific rules that dictate how language should be processed. And these rules are based on the knowledge of syntax, morphology, and other grammar, what they know or they are experts in. So, well, for example, for these manually crafted rules, suppose a rule might state that if a word ends with ed, let us assume ed, then it is likely a past tense verb. It is likely a past tense verb, like this. So the experts will make some rules in the written form. Then it is about deterministic behavior. So basically, the rule-based systems behave deterministically, like meaning the output is predictable and consistent for a given input. So if the same set of rules is applied, and the system does not learn from the data, but instead it applies predefined rules to the input. Then it is about interpretability. So since the rules are human designed and the rule-based systems are highly interpretable, so it is easy to trace why a specific decision was made because the rules are explicit. Then is domain specific. So when rule-based systems are often tailored to specific languages, domains are applications, they can be highly effective when the rules are finely tuned for a specific task. Suppose such as legal text analysis, medical text parsing, or POS tagging, that too in a specific language. So these are the characteristics of role based. So then role based the POS tagging, which involves a set of handwritten linguistic rules to assign parts of speech tags, that is like noun, verb, adjective, to each word in a sentence. The tagging is based on the word's morphology and its context in the sentence. So what is the process of rule-based POS tagging? First is lexical lookup. So lexical lookup, what happens is the system will first checks each word in a lexicon or dictionary and determine its possible parts of speeches, right? For example, for example, let me write here. For example, so run is a word. So this might be listed in the lexicon as both a noun and a verb, right? Then its rule application. After the lexical lookup, a set of contextual rules is applied to disambiguate the words, parts of speech based on its context in the sentence. So, for example, if a word follows a determiner like the, then it is likely to be a noun, right? So that is what the rule application is. Then it's tag assignment. The system will assign the most appropriate POS tag based on the lexical lookup and the rules applied. Right. So then we talk about the applications. So we have the following applications for our POS tagging. That is grammar checking. Yes, since we have an effective POS tagging enabled, we can have this grammar checking. Then it's named entity recognition, that is identifying the entities. It's either a place or organization or any other. Then it's information extraction and machine translation. So hope you understood, students, and thank you.